Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. In today's video, I've got some quick little projects for you with the new IOD Holiday Collection. So let's get started. Now this is just a little crate that I found at the thrift shop. I think it was only like $2.99, and it had like this little metal sign on it that was actually screwed in that said, I think, Happy Holidays. So I took it off and saved that part because, well, I might use it later. And so I painted the entire thing with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream on the inside and on the outside. And then once I finished, then I went back with my little mixture of the two Dixie Belle Voodoo gel stains. One is Tobacco Road and one is All Natural. So I just kind of mix it together to get more of a lighter color. Now, this is from the IOD transfer called Holly Glen, and it's one of those pretty little foxes. Now, if you watched my video where I showed you all of the new products, then one of the things I mentioned was that some of the foxes and in some of the transfers that have just come out, there are a lot of little creatures that have little mushrooms to go with it. So yes, this little fox has got some little mushrooms in his little picture. And so on the transfer, I painted it with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream. I made sure to seal it. I put the transfer down, and I make sure that I rub back over it with that little plastic that was on it to burnish it. And then I'm ready to go on to the next step. And so this is actually some of the IOD air dry clay, and I really like it. It's very light and airy. And so I'm doing 3 of the little mushrooms that came from the spring collection. And I painted those kind of a brown little speckledy ones to try to match up the ones in the picture. But it needed just a little bit more, and so this is the IOD Vintage Textures, and it's the larger crackle finish. And I really like the IOD Stone Gray ink because it's just enough to show that crackle, but it's not too strong. Now, I am putting my Voodoo Gel Stain mixture on it, but one of the things that I thought I was filming was when I was putting the stamps on from letterpress that said Nature's Beauty. And when I began to edit this afternoon, I realized that I didn't hit the little button so that I could film it. But when I was cleaning off my stamps, I filmed that. So needless to say, that won't be on the video. And I'm going to be... I punched little holes in it, and I'm going to be attaching it to this wood crate. And once I put it on, it kind of blended in too much. So I went back with the Tim Holtz Distressing ink around the edges to make it a little bit darker. And this is just some rusty wire that I'm putting it on and twisting it around on the back to hang it from this crate. Now, if you'll remember in my video recently, or just this week, I had that barnwood box that my husband built me. Well, not everybody's got a husband that would do that, or do they have the barnwood? So I wanted to show you another option when it comes to making some little signs to put on boxes. And these little crates are really easy to find, and if you don't find them at the thrift shop, you know, they'll have them on sale at Michael's and Hobby Lobby, you know, alternating weeks when it comes to like the wood pieces. But this and another piece is my favorite today. Now, this is just a little plaque, and it's not made out of wood. I'm not real sure, but it's something I ordered off of Amazon, and I painted it with Rust-Oleum Linen White. And this is one of those beautiful little fairies that's in the transfer, Fairy Merry Christmas. And she's the little fairy that has the big old mushroom on top of her head. And I think of all of them, I think she might be my favorite. I think she's just really cute. And so I put her right in the middle. And she's got some little mushrooms down around her at the bottom as well. So I put the transfer on, and then these mushrooms that I'm putting on right now actually came from a transfer that just came out either in the spring or summer. I'm not real sure which one. And it was called the moulds pages, and it was, I think, 8 pages of all of these different natural type of things, and one of the pages was dedicated to mushrooms. So I kind of picked through them to pick out the ones that I thought matched up with this particular transfer. And that's what I like about IOD, is that, you know, as they put out new stuff, then in the next collection, sometimes it kind of matches up with what they did before. So it's neat that you can marry all of these pieces together. And this is some of the wording that came down at the bottom, and I just cut it out and transferred it to the side. Now this is it's kind of a weird ribbon that I found at Hobby Lobby, and it's kind of crunchy, and it looks like some kind of green, I don't know what, but it comes out really cute. It's just kind of hard to pull together, and so I take some little ribbon and I tie it really, really tight to make that little bow on the bottom. And then that ribbon, I'm going to make another little bow and put that on top of it to just add another layer to it. So I'm not really sure how to describe this ribbon. It's just really hard and crunchy, and I've had it a while, but I like it because it's kind of nature inspired. And this is just the little ribbon, and there's not a specific way that I make this bow. I just wrap it around my finger a few times, and then I tie a ribbon in the middle, and voila, there you got a little bow. So it's nothing fancy, and I don't have a particular name for it. It's just maybe it's called the lazy way to make a bow, and not to have to get my little bow maker out. And then I'm going to glue the bigger green piece down to the bottom, and then I'm going to glue the next ribbon on top of that. Now, this little plaque came with holes in them, but what I had initially thought I would do was to hang it on that little crate as well, but I forgot about that, and I tied that little lace hanger up at the top, so that's fine. And I wanted that way to be a good way for you to go ahead and see what the plaque looks like. And so then it was a little bit too white, and so I went back with my Voodoo Gel Stain and went back over it and just kind of put a little bit of distressing ink on it, just to kind of, so it wouldn't be so stark white. But this is my second favorite piece. And when I put on that Voodoo Gel Stain, I have a little baby wipe that I kind of wipe it back. And then if I wipe back too much, then I go back and just put a little bit more on. And I always keep a little pack of baby wipes real close to my crafting table because I use them a lot. But isn't she just the cutest little thing? And those faces on those fairies are unbelievable. They look like real little girls. And look at that ribbon. It's kind of strange looking, but I really do like it. And this is my other favorite piece in the video today. So what do you think so far? And do you like these little woodland creatures and the little fairies? And did you order them from the collection? So if you're liking this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already a part of our family. Now, the next piece is just something real simple. It's one of those little small canvases, and I think it might be about 4 by 4. And this is just a script stamp that I got off of Amazon. And on this one, I think I used black ink. And this particular transfer came from the little Holly Glen, and it's just a little bird. Now, because it's a little canvas sign, sometimes when I was pressing down on the inside of it, because it's got that wood frame on the back side of it, you could feel that fabric moving just a little bit, but it didn't mess it up. Now, before I show you that, this is just a little bucket that I thrifted, and I painted it with Dixie Belle Slick Stick because that kind of primes the little tin can. And then I'm using another transfer, and this one comes from the Holly Glen, and it's another little fox. Well, and he has some mushrooms down at his little feet too. So I put this transfer on, and so once I painted it, even though I primed it and I painted it, I still sealed it before I put this transfer on. And if you're not used to using transfers, make sure that sealer is good and dry, because if you put the transfer on and it's not dry all the way, it will actually peel the transfer up and it will peel the paint off. And it's one of those things that, it just kind of makes you sick to your stomach. But, there's not a lot you can do about it, and just try to save it the best you can. So make sure it's all dry. Now, this is that mold with all the different mushrooms on it, and I'm going to make those same 3 little mushrooms, not the ones that have like the little flat tops to them, but more the little rounded ones. And I want them to already go on and be in there and start getting dry, so I use painter's tape to kind of tape them down real gently. Now, there's some green in this particular transfer, so I'm just using more of a green top paint for the top, and then I paint the base and use some of that voodoo gel stain to kind of darken it up, because there's some little indentions and little marks that are part of that little mold or the design of it. So when you use a voodoo gel stain on it, and that darkness kind of pulls out all the little pretty pieces to it. Now here's my little fox on the tin can, and here's my little bird sign in a little cage with a little bird's nest with some bird eggs. Now, the other day when I went to Hobby Lobby, I just happened to be walking down the aisle, and I saw this little plaque that had a really neat hanger on it. So it was on sale, and that's why I got it. And so this is another bird transfer that came from the Holly Glen. And I painted over that little plaque with Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I put a sealer on it, and now I'm putting the transfer on it. And then I had some old molds that I made last Christmas, and I used my hot glue gun. And if you've not ever used that, I'll try to link some videos where it shows how to use the hot glue gun to make your molds. And so these are just some that I kind of had in my little stash, and I'm just painting them with Dixie Belle collard green. And then I realized once I finished it up that it was too dark, and so I went back and painted over it, and I used Waverly Moss paint. And then I dry brushed over on top of that with some white. And then I used Tite Bond glue to put my molds down. And once I was editing the video this afternoon, I realized I may go back with a script stamp and do some script writing around that little bird transfer. I had already done like a little crackle finish, but I think it might need just a little bit more. So I'm going to kind of think upon it and decide before I take it to my booth. But I really think it's pretty, and I like that plaque, and I like the way it's hanging. So it made me think I want to recreate that little plaque sometime. Okay, so my next video is using the little Christmas kittens and Christmas pups stamps. And I took one of each. And if you've not used the stamps before, I really like them. I was kind of scared of them at first, but the key to it is just taking your time and not rushing. And so I stamped it with IOD. I think the red ink is called Tomato. That's the color of it. And I'm just stamping it on some heavy white artist paper. And then I stamped one of the little puppies with the green ink. Now, that's not IOD ink. That's something I got at Hobby Lobby, but I have ordered the IOD green ink. So once it's dry, I'll give it just a little bit to dry because I don't want to smudge it at all, even though the IOD ink dries fairly quickly. I'm just going to go around and I'm cutting all around the edge of both of them because I'm going to be making some little ornaments, but you can use this same concept if you make Christmas cards. So I wanted to show you this particular piece because last year I did make some Christmas ornaments for my booth. And if you make them with really heavy paper, they hold up really well. Now this is some red glittery scrapbook paper that I got at Hobby Lobby. And if you've watched my channel, you know that I like shiny stuff. So at Christmas, I'm all about the bling. So, so I will put this little stamped image. I glue it onto that red glittery paper. And both pieces are really heavy paper. So I use Mod Podge because I need it to be a little bit thicker. And because they're thick and I need it to lay down and not have to worry about it, I get those little pink clamps from Dollar Tree, and I just keep them in a jar, and I just kind of pinch them all down and just let it sit for a little bit. And then I'm going to be doing the same thing with the little green dog, and so that is some glittery green paper. Well, I had a little scrap of the red paper, so I decided that I'd take a little scrap of the red and just kind of tuck it behind the green. Because now what I'm doing for this one in particular is I'm now layering that onto some gold paper. And this one is more, it's not sequins, but it's a lot heavier. And then I just have about a 1/4 inch around the edge of behind the green. And then I'm just going to glue it all together. And down at the bottom, I'm going to tie this. It's called eyelash yarn. And there's a girl that I follow on Facebook, and she's old to ooh la la. Her name is Victoria Conhurst, and I saw her use this ribbon or this yarn a lot last year at Christmas, and I fell in love with it. And I made one of my little lazy bows where I kind of wrap it around my finger, and then I tie a little string around it. And I'm going to glue that down at the bottom, and then I've got some little gold bells that I'm going to attach to it. And I did the same thing with the cat. And there they are. They're just some pretty little ornaments. And they're just made out of scrapbook paper. And, the stamps with just a little bit of ribbon. And they're just really simple, but they can be really pretty. So what do you think so far? I like them, and I'm excited about using these animal stamps. Well, friends, guess what? We are already at the end of the video. I can't believe it. It happens so fast sometimes. And here's all of our projects. Okay, now this one's one of my favorite ones. I love that little fox. I just think he's beautiful. Now, we don't have foxes. I've not seen any foxes out in our woods, but I know that we have some out in the area where we live. And this is just a little bucket that you can, either put like a little potted plant in, or it could even be something that you throw your change in when you get home at night. And this is just a pretty little bird transfer. And I wanted to make some simple things because I tend to make complicated things sometimes. And I wanted to show you that it's okay sometimes to just use these transfers, and you don't have to always go all out and do really, really fancy stuff. I like also doing some just really simple projects. And I love this one, but I do think I might go back and put a little bit of script on it. And a lot of these will be going into my booth because Christmas will come really fast and my ornaments sell really fast. So I need to make sure that I've got a good stash of them before Christmas season starts. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Make sure to like and subscribe the video and leave me a comment and tell me what was your favorite today. Thank you so much for your support. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great week.